A very, very good morning to you. How you doing? Karibu sana to your world. And this being a Tuesday, you know how we do. Every Tuesday, we are matters your heart. Matters roho, mapenzi, relationships, marriages, being a better person, you know, lifing better, loving better, all of that put together. Karibuni sana. I'm your host, Mwikali, and we have an amazing, amazing show lined up for you. And this is one of those conversations. There's still... My director is in my ear saying things. Yes. Rojo. Oh, sorry, it's Rojo, not Moyo. Okay, thank you for that. So every single Tuesday we talk about matters that are related to your heart, you know. And today we are having a conversation that is quite interesting, sometimes a bit complicated to understand. And if you bumped into this as an adult like I did, then we've got a lot of questions. We're talking about the reason we love the way we do. Why do you love the way you do? Why do you react? How do you bring people close? How do you let them go? All of that put together. We're talking about attachment styles today. And having this conversation, mimi kama nyinyi, I will be learning, studying, understanding self as well. And of course, we'll be taking all of your questions. But we have a question for you today. And the question is, do you think attachment styles are fixed or they can change over time with the right experiences or people? I'm gonna do that again. Do you think attachment styles are fixed? Or can they change over time with the right experiences or people? And to help us have this amazing conversation, we have on my farthest left, Winnie, I miss you, left, is Bishop Grace Muthoni Dalizu, a marriage counselor as well. Karibu sana to the show.
Asante
Lovely
sana
to have you.
Asante
right
Mukali.
Next to Bishop, we have a relationship and marriage therapist, Moffat Cargo. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And right next to Moffat, we have relationship coach, Miriam Mwangi. Karibuni sana.
Thank you very much.
This is such an interesting conversation because there are books written, there are podcasts dedicated to just attachment styles because they're such a deep and wide conversation to have. And for anyone who's probably hearing this for the very first time, what are these things? Inaka complicated, but if we get to understand them, they're not very, very complicated. But what are attachment styles? We can start with you, Miriam.
It always has to be me on the spot.
Right? Karibu na teacher.
Well, I would say attachment styles is how, in a simple way, it's how people react towards one another,
Okay.
towards love given, towards relationships, how you show up in relationships. Okay. That's what attachment styles are. Meaning that there are people who will show up in relationships in a secure way. There are people who will show up in relationships in an anxious way. There are people who will show up in a relationship fearful, and others who are very secure. Now, how those people show up in a relationship are completely different in different ways. A secure person will not show up the way the fearful person will show up. Now, attachment styles are only what a person has been through in life. They are trauma-based. They are trauma-based.
And I can see everybody else on the panel just going, yes. Moffat, do you want to add on to that?
Thank you so much, Mwikali. And a very good morning to our viewers and our fellow guests.
Yes.
Attachment is a very complicated thing, but how I can define attachment is that internal dispositions of life that we form as a result of our interactions with our significant others, with our caregivers. And to a large extent, attachment styles are formed from our childhood.
Okay.
Meaning that the interactions that we had with our caregivers could be our fathers, could be our mothers, aunties, or whoever else that was close to us when we were growing up. They make us form the basis upon which we relate with others. And that is what I've tried to summarize in a layman's language what attachment is. It is usually formed in our childhood as a result of how we interact with our significant others, with the people who are around us. Yes.
And I'm thinking, when you're a child, there are different stages to growing up. And there are stages where you say the child is a sponge, they just pick up everything and anything. Do we have specific timelines for when this is formed? It's just childhood, growing up? Does it change? Like, do we have particular stages where we take in all of that and then it forms the blueprint that we live by? Bishop.
Thank you so much, Mwikali. I would want to say that the attachment styles are informed right from when, you know, that infant is born. You know, because psychologically, or in psychology, a child is born when the mind is empty, you know, tabula rasa. That's what they say. But right from there, if the child is growing around a lot of noise, shoutings, and what have you, that is what the child will grow with. You know, probably very fearful, because every time there is this noise, there is this other noise, you know, and it informs the kind of child that will come up out of that. Maybe a child with a very disorganized kind of environment. That child will also have that kind of disorganized attachment, because nothing is consistent. There is noise here, there is calm here, there is noise there, there is shouting here. There is no consistency at all. And that tends to inform the toddler right from infancy, that the mind now begins to register this noise, this shouting and what have you, that when they grow, they become very insecure children, or disorganized in every way, you know, fearful, as Miriam had mentioned, and like that. But the opposite is also possible, is also very important, because if the environment is calm for the child, then the child will be very secure, loving parents, loving aunties. You know, it is all cumulative from the social, psychological environment, and sometimes moves into the economic environment also, that affects the child and forms the kind of attachment and behavior this child will have towards those they relate with, whether it's a partner or other people as well.
It is baffling to think that you are just born, and the environment that you grow up in then sets the pace for how you relate with other people. And there are different kinds of attachment styles, and probably just like for randomly to pick one and just dive deep into it to just understand what it is, because there are several of them. Maybe we'll start with you, Miriam.
Maybe I can start with the one that, the only one that is completely positive. We have 4 main attachment styles, and the first one is secure.
Secure.
You know, like Bishop is saying, they grow up in an environment that will make them secure. But I must say that we don't remain fixed in one attachment style all through our life, even as I describe what secure style is. You could grow up in a calm environment that makes you holistically secure, but the experiences you go through later on in life will make you change, and you might find yourself somewhere in between another attachment style because of the experiences. Maybe you've been broken in relationships, you've been abused in the work environment. That will chip away your attachment style. But that said, secure style is a person is a style that is with a person who feels secure within themselves. So they have a positive outlook of themselves and a positive outlook of others. So not only for themselves, but also for others. They see themselves holistically. They believe in themselves. They believe in the good that they carry, but they also believe in the good that other people carry. So when they come into a relationship, they are coming into a relationship with a view of wholeness. They're not coming thinking that I'm coming to be cheated on, I'm coming to be broken, this person is probably hiding something. They come looking at this person as if I'm a good person, even this person is good.
Is a good person.
Right?
Yeah.
They have healthy independence, meaning that they are not relying on this person to be their light.
Okay.
They're not relying on this person to be their happiness. They know what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
And are confident about that. And they also believe the other person is doing the same. So their mentality is such that everything is working out. And you've met such people who believe everything is working out.
Yeah.
And even if they leave one relationship to the next, they still believe, I know even the next one will be good.
Wow.
My heart has been broken, yes, but I still believe that
There's good somewhere
There's
out
good
there.
somewhere. There's goodness. I will still make it. I will still, you know.
These people are shocking. It's like,
yeah. And these are people who don't mind also being alone.
Yes.
They don't mind being alone. They're not people who will jump from one relationship to the next because they're not looking to be fed. They're not looking to be filled. Their cup is already full. Yeah. So when they get into a relationship, it's for mutuality.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then my question would be then, still on Secure, what was the environment like then for that, for you to get this blueprint? Because it's not something you do to self at that age. It is what you're exposed to.
Yeah.
So what does it look like in that home with the first interactions with already existing humans?
Sometimes it's very hard to decode what the home looked like because, Mwikali, there are people who can be from the same family, grown up in the same family, but have extremely different attachment styles.
That's true.
Why? Because their perceptions were different.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just perception. But that said also, like Bishop was saying, the home from the formative years are between 1 and 7.
Yes.
I mean 0 and 7 years. Maybe there was a lot of calmness, a lot of stability, a lot of tactile love, a lot of appreciation, a lot of even being provided autonomy. You're given time, your own space to be creative, your own space to think for yourself, your own space to just be independent. You're taught to be independent early enough. You're taught that you are useful early enough. You're taught that you can do it by yourself early enough. Not everything is done for you. You're not spoon-fed.
Yeah.
On the other side, you're also not abused. You're not shouted at. You're not, you know, where parents would correct us, as a child umestuka, but you don't even know what makosa ni nini, what have I done. So in these people who grow up secure, the parent goes to the level of the child and tell them, what you have just done is wrong. What you can do next time is this and this and this. Have you understood why I'm punishing you? So it's a discussion. So this child grows up knowing, I'm safe. I'm safe. And I'm also given room to explore. I'm also given room to be myself. But that is one child. You can have other children in the family who believe they're not loved the same way. They're not seen the same way. So they form their own perceptions as they're growing up. So you can only, I think I believe you can do so much, but as a parent, you can only pray that you're giving each child the same what they deserve, and taking each child as an individual. Don't take them as a group. Each child comes differently. You don't know what trauma this child has gone through in the womb that the other one didn't go through, what their birthing was, because trauma begins from the womb. The fear that the mom has, the child carries.
Oh my goodness.
The shoutings and the noise that she was hearing, she comes out with it. Without knowing, you know? And so that continues. So depending on what they're given after birth, that's where now they'll start forming the secure attachments. That's what.
And for you to be able to do that, you have to be very present. If you're going to be able to give them all of that. So for secure, the presence is also like key.
I would say presence. And quality. Because sometimes in our nation, our working environment, as a mother, you might not be there the whole time. We have to factor in the fact that we're also leaving our children with caregivers. And we don't know who these caregivers are and what trauma they're carrying that they're passing on to the children. But I would say the time that you're spending with your child, be very intentional and be present. Let it be quality. over quantity. Yes, quantity is important, but let it be quality. Let this child feel seen when you come. Don't carry work and, you know, in between you're like, hi, the child is talking to you, but you're busy watching the show. Baba nimekusikia. And the kid is looking, he's like, lakini naona mama, niangalie, uniangalie. But you know, that's not quality.
But niko hapa.
The child still feels neglected. The whole day you've not spent with him, but at the same time when you're present, you're not really present. So what is that telling this child? You're not valuable enough. You're not seen. You're not worthy of my time. And they grow up feeling like that, anxious. You know, they grow up feeling like that.
I've got more questions on secure, but we're going to come back to that in a bit. We have another attachment style, Mofat, and maybe you can just pick from the rest that are remaining which one you'd like for us to delve into.
Thank you so much, Mwikali. Let me talk about the anxious attachment style, which is also called the preoccupied kind of a style.
Yes.
And before I say that, I talk about the anxious, I want to say something small on to build on what she has just said.
Yes.
You know, a child, right from the time they are in the womb, the kind of life disposition that we give to these children, research has it that from birth all the way to around 12 years, that is the time when you are building a lot of foundation for this child. And that is the time when all these attachment styles can actually be shaped, because it can be, I have found parents bringing to us their children when there's a lot of repair work to be done. Because if a child has grown up in a home that does not know that the brain of a child is like a moist, moldable clay, you can give it the shape that you want. Then it goes without saying that there comes a time when it will be an uphill task for you to reverse that which you could have molded within that window that God has given us. Now, talking about the anxious, preoccupied style of attachment.
Yes.
And I needed to say that there's an aspect of attachment, or this concept of attachment, was coined by a researcher by the name John Bowlby, and then later Mary Ainsworth came and built up on what the work of Bowlby. And it is quite interesting. The anxious attachment happens at that point where the child is anxious or is not able to understand the interaction between him or her with the parent. And these two wonderful researchers even carried out some experiment with a small child, whereby a mother or the caregiver leaves the room, and this child becomes troubled, and if the mother does not come back, again it builds a lot of tension, because that is what usually is for all children. That is why when you go to a new environment with your child, if you have one, you have observed that, and if you don't have, I know you have observed your neighbor's child. When you visit a new environment, and there are more children, but they are strangers to this child, it takes time for this child to really interact with these children.
That's true.
And even if they are playing, you will realize that they will take their time, they will try, they will test the waters, and if they do not trust that environment, they will run to their mother or to their caregiver.
Yes, that is true.
That is what usually happens.
But tunasemanga mtoto anasumbua, mtoto hajazoea watu. And I want us to take just a tiny little pause over there. We'll pick it up after we pay our bills. And being told it's time for a commercial break. We're going to be right back, so don't go anywhere. We have a question for you. And the question is, do you think attachment styles are fixed, or can they change over time with the right experiences? Or people, do you think attachment styles are fixed, or can they change? Can they change over time with the right experiences or people? We'll be right back. Engage with us on all our social media platforms. That's NTV Kenya. And we'll check that out as the show continues. Don't go too far. Welcome back to Your World Tuesday edition. Matters, relationships, matters, your heart. And today we're talking about attachment styles. And there's so much to cover when it comes to attachment styles. We've just started and we've heard what secure attachment style looks like, feels like, and where it comes from. Now, we just took a break when we were just about to delve into the anxious attachment style. And before we continue with Moffat, I'd just like to remind you the question of the day. Do you think attachment styles are fixed, or can they change over time with the right experiences? Or people, do you think attachment styles are fixed, or can they change over time with the right experiences? Or people, NTV Kenya on all our social media platforms, let us know what you think about that particular questions. And if you have any question whatsoever when it comes to attachment styles. Moffat, I'm sorry I cut you short before the break. Bills. But you were giving us a story about anxious style and the experiment that was done. And we've seen it in our homes where if it's a new environment, new baby, we come up with all kinds of excuses. But it really is an experiment to show where they feel more safe or secure.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I was talking about how small children behave.
Yes.
And especially when they are not with a caregiver whom they can feel as if they are consistent. Because anxious style of attachment, or which we are calling preoccupied, and this aspect of preoccupied comes later in life.
Okay.
Because a child who grew up with caregivers who are not consistent, meaning they do not know when love is going to be given, they do not know when their caregivers are going to come back, and they are just there. They are just anxious, looking forward to this caregiver to come. Let me give a real life example.
Okay.
I've handled a situation where a boy being raised by a single mother got used to always waiting for this mother to come, maybe because ni mtu wa kupiga sherehe, and maybe coming in the morning. And I remember this young man telling me that whatever he remembers about his childhood is standing on those window grills, looking whether the mother is coming back. All the time. So this child never understands whether the caregiver is going to come, whether comfort and care are going to be offered. And therefore, what happens in adulthood is that such a person can become so clingy because there's so much desire connection, but at the same time, there's an element of fear and confusion and anxiety because they do not know what is going to come out of this. And some other times, these are children who form an internal model whereby they believe that love has to be fought for and love has to be worked for. Have you seen people who will become so rough to their partners, not because they hate them, but because they so much want them to be where they are? I have handled a situation where a lady will even want to follow the man to work, and she wants him to follow a particular route because she is fearful he might be snatched along the way.
Snatched?
And if he doesn't come at the right time that the girl is expecting, it is usually fight. Now the question is she fighting him because she doesn't love him? She loves him. She
loves the guy.
But her love is extremely distorted. Her definition of love is distorted in that she has grown up to be an anxious person. She has grown up to be a person who cannot easily trust, and she really wants this man to be where she is all the time. I have even listened to situations where a pretty young couple is waiting for a matatu, and then the gentleman jumps into the driver's place, that space, because there was a space for one passenger. And then the girl is left
outside
to find her way to where the other people are. And these wonderful people are telling me that the girl alighted along the way, and she was so furious. And when they came, the gentleman was like, this girl is so, she struggles with so small things, less important things. And I asked him, and you know, he shared that story. And I remember asking him, you know, it is small according to who?
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Because this girl was communicating that I want you here. Okay? Because she doesn't seem to understand what is likely to happen when this man is in a place where she cannot see him. So children who grow up with this anxious attachment style, they want to love, but they are so anxious because they do not know what is going to come out of that relationship. And they begin to, they even fight for their lovers, and sometimes we even see them on social media, you know, because they have been made to believe, because of the way the caregiver was away, you know, some not consistent. She doesn't know, he doesn't know whether this person is going to come back and how the kind of interaction we are going to have. They are made to imagine, because they are not taught by anyone, you know, they just observe and they make their own script of life.
Yes.
That love, for me to be loved, I have to fight for it. That is why this child probably grew up with a caregiver, and when they leave, this child cries and cries and cries and cries.
Yes.
Nobody to comfort this child. And these things, I even see them when we are taking our children to school, the first day of school. Sometimes parents do not even have time to do what we call priming. You know, to go with this child, introduce him to the school that they want them to go, introduce him with the teachers, or her with the teachers that will be with her, take some time and enjoy within that environment. We call it priming.
Okay.
Go to those schools and you hear the kind of cries that children have. Some of those children are growing up in such a family. They do not know. You know, the child does not understand that the parent will come back.
Yeah.
But there is a way you can make a child understand that you are going to come back.
Yes.
Number one, what you do when you come back. Do you soothe them? Do you tell them it is okay? And slowly by slowly, they are able to learn that when my mommy goes, she comes back.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
I
and
am.
Therefore, sometimes it can be quite a challenge in marriage relationships, whereby somebody does not believe, or rather has been made to believe, that I have to fight for this.
Yeah.
I have to really fight for this love.
Oh my goodness. And as I listen to this, as we are healing ourselves as adults, we are also parents at this point, and we need to learn what we are doing with our little ones. And that is the anxious or preoccupied attachment style. Whew. Okay.
And this person, by the way,
yes,
becomes hypervigilant.
Okay.
The child becomes hypervigilant because of this element of being left alone, and they do not understand that whole situation.
Yes.
Even in adulthood.
Yeah.
Married couples who become so hypervigilant and extremely sensitive, and they can even do what we call mind reading. You are coming late because you are seeing another woman, you know, and because they believe that they have to fight for it, sometimes they mind read, sometimes they become hypervigilant. They cannot trust that when you go, you can protect your intimacy.
Okay. Bishop, tunaenda pande gani?
That is very, very, what Moffat has said is very true. And I want to talk about the avoidance and the one person that will always dismiss, you know, any kind of attachment, any kind of relationship that they get into.
Yes.
And yet they want. Wanataka, hawataki. Wanataka, hawataki. Neither cold or hot. But they are lukewarm because they know what they need in this relationship. But because of the foundation, let's say the foundation where maybe there was rejection, and that's what now comes with what he has just been talking about, being very anxious or very fearful because you are rejected.
Yeah.
There are children right from when they are very, very, you know, toddlers, even infancy, where the people taking care of them reject them. They can cry throughout. The child is placed down, not in a good way, not in a comforting way. They're just placed there. They can cry, they can be wet the whole time. So what is registered in their minds is rejection.
Okay.
And then also, besides rejection, they feel very unwanted. And when that kind of environment is there, they are very fearful that when they are growing, there's this avoiding of being very close to anybody. They don't want to be close to you.
Yeah.
They admire you from far, but coming close, they feel that what they feared would come to them.
Yeah.
In other words, they are traumatized throughout their lives, you know, so that as they are growing up, the kind of attachment they are building to be safe, yet they are trying to get their own, quote unquote, safe haven.
Yeah.
Avoiding being very emotionally close to anybody, or even if they are told, oh, I love you, that love is not taken as love. What is there underneath? Do you love me, or you are saying it for the sake
you want
of
something
saying?
from me?
Is it, yeah, they are looking at you and wondering, are you going to reject me along the way? If I don't do things the way probably they're supposed to be done. And for them to be safe, they avoid. And that avoidance or dismissal is very common. That somebody gives you a call, maybe you are friends, you've just started friendship. And when we are talking about this love, maybe it's not just the intimacy, one, in terms of a sexual relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, but even between you and other, you know, people that are close to you, even relatives. You find that you don't want to develop it because you are not very sure whether it will last, because from your mind, you are rejected. There's no esteem. Your self-esteem is so low that it doesn't matter what somebody says. You want to avoid them. You say thank you, but you run away. You run away from them. You don't want to be close to them because you don't really get it, whether they mean what they say. So there's doubt already. There's so much doubt planted in you. And that is informed right from when the child is growing. That whoever tells them anything, don't keep their word. And that's why it is important when you promise a child something, please go through with it and make it come to pass. Because if not, they will feel rejected without you knowing. Because rejection is not the slap or the abusive words, it's your action and the kind of vibe, the kind of energy you give around that particular person. You tell them something, you don't fulfill it. That is a promise broken. And that's why you see children, when you promise them something, they give you the small finger and say, let's
promise.
Let's promise. You know, it's like getting into a covenant because they want to tie you to it because they have learned that you say and you don't keep. So with time, they have realized that this is what happens. And even in a real relationship of, let's say, intimacy and what, they don't want to be very intimate with you. And if they're intimate with you today, they reject you tomorrow. They say, no, I don't want. I'm not sure what you want. I'm not sure even you love me. Another thing that I've seen that brings about avoidance is body shaming. When a child is body shamed as they are growing, they will never believe in themselves, ever, ever. So they will avoid any social place. They will avoid groupings of friends. They will avoid that relationship, not because they are not in love or there's no chemistry, but there's this thing in the back of their mind that tells them, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So they keep avoiding. They keep avoiding. Now, when it comes to intimacy, they will even avoid more. Those are the people who say, if they are going to be intimate with anyone, switch off the lights. Because already there is that avoidance. They are not even sure about themselves, leave alone what you're telling. But more often than not, I want to also take it from another angle. They find their space more positive than the other person. They believe in themselves. They don't believe the other person. They are positive about themselves. But not about the other. They are so negative about everyone they see, anything they are told. Everything is just negative. People who tell you, wachana huyo kile anasema hata si ukweli. I don't believe that person. I don't like this kind of group. I don't like going to these meetings. So that now begins to inform every kind of interaction they have in life. They believe in their space. They believe in their homes. But right back, what is causing all this is because something was triggered in them. So there's a trigger that maybe somebody told them you're too fat or you're too thin or you don't look good.
So you're already feeling insecure.
They want to secure their environment and hate the other. That's what they're giving back. What you receive, you also begin to give back. Let me say it. You have received it. You want to secure your part, but you make the other place look very, very bad. You go to somebody's house and you feel what they are doing is not what should be done. You become judgmental in other words, because you are secure about your place, but you're not secure about the other person.
That's a difficult one, because how do you then engage in life? You know, like, how do you relate with other people? How do you behave in marriage? How do you even identify as a person that this is who I am, this is where I'm at, this is where it's coming from? The reason I do not like, I don't like the other person, or I don't like what they're projecting, is coming from me. And it's not about them.
And you know that those kinds of people, you will keep calling them. And they receive the call. But when it comes to returning the same, they don't feel like they should call you. They don't feel they trust you. Because everything that is said, they cannot base themselves on anything that any other person says. Everything else is negative. And it's a bad place to be, because you avoid the good things, you avoid the right people, just by feeling that, you know, you don't want to be very close. You don't trust. I think it comes from trust issues, how you are raised, the things that you are told, information that you collected, you know, from your formative years.
Absolutely.
So by this time, you don't want to be very close. You may find a good friend, and you really want them to be your friend. But you feel this thing in you. No, I can't be her friend. She will not treat me right. You know, I have to be secure. What I feel is like a defensive mechanism. A wall that is being built around you, so you're avoiding, feeling this is safe, but you don't know in the course of time, so much is lost.
That's true.
So much is lost. You cannot find yourself later. And
our lines are open. You can call in with your questions as well as you answer our question of the day. Just before we go on a break, we have another attachment style, Miriam. The
last one, which is equally as difficult as
the rest.
Avoidant.
Avoidant is complicated.
But imagine avoidance, they still hope. Now there's the fearful. The fearful person is a person who doesn't see anything positive, not in themselves and not in other people. They don't believe in themselves, they don't see anything positive in themselves, and that's the same outlook they have towards other people. So for them, it's like their life is just full of, for lack of a better word, the gloom and the doom. Like, it's just, nothing good ever happens to me. Even when they enter into a relationship, these are people who will self-sabotage just to prove to themselves that indeed nothing good ever happens to me. So you find that they're flighty in relationships. They never are get into long-term relationships, because for them they believe, what's the point? It will still end, you know? These are people who, even if their partner keeps proving to them that they love them, there will always be something they're questioning. Mbona jana ulifanya hivi? Mbona, you know? So this person is proving their love to them so hard. They're working so hard to prove the love to them, but they're not seeing, because they can't see. They can't see. This is a person who I always ask myself when I look at these people, what kind of environment did these people grow up in? What kind of neglect did they go through? What kind of trauma did they go through, where their own internal person was shredded to pieces, to a point where you couldn't see anything good in yourself, and to the point you don't see anything good to the other person. This is a person who has gone through severe neglect. This is a person who has gone through severe trauma, and probably gone through all those, the anxious parts. They don't know if their caregiver is coming or they are loved, or they are, you know. And you know, in our society, I think my colleagues can say counseling has not been a major part of our society, whereby even kids, when they're going through trauma, nobody ever knows the child is going through trauma. You'll probably just say this child is misbehaving. And there are children who misbehave actually to just get that attention from their parents. There's a child who will get suspended from school just so they can hear their parents shouting at them because that's the only time
they care.
They get the contact from the parent. You don't know any other time, you know. I remember dealing with a case of a child, and the mom kept asking, where did I go wrong with this child? This is a child, he was 10. I'm not using his correct age, so, but a young child, right?
Yeah.
And he was already exhibiting such violent tendencies.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
He was not at par with anyone at home, not with the mom, not with the siblings. In fact, he used to tell the mom he's going to kill one of the siblings, the one who came after him. This is a child who would sit and strangle a chicken and feel nothing. The chicken is shaking.
And he feels nothing.
And he feels nothing. But when you ask him, you know, in child language, tell me how it was for you growing up. Like even, you know, we usually do art therapy for children. He will draw very violent things. Very violent things.
Yeah.
And you're wondering what's happening. So when you investigate, you realize this is a child who got married with a mom, has gone through trauma in the step, whatever, from a very early age, has been severely beaten.
Yeah.
He told me...
Just a minute, Miriam. We have a caller. We have Eunice from Nakuru. Hello, Eunice. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi, Eunice. How are you?
I'm good.
Great. Kindly changia if you have any question as well. Mada yetu ya leo.
Sasa mada nimeona mimi ni shosho kabisa. Na huyu shosho niliwachiwa mtoto akiwa miezi 3 na msichana.
Okay.
Kijana alipata msichana akampa mimba. Na huyo mtoto nikawachiwa.
Okay.
Sasa huyu mtoto nimemlea sasa hivi yako 16 years old.
Okay.
Na mtoto hajachangamuka sana. Ako secondary school, yes, lakini hajachangamuka sana. Sasa huwa nashindwa. Huwa anawaza kuhusu mamake ama namna gani. Lakini nishamwambia mamake yuko. Lakini mamake alimwacha hivyo. Alafu mamake juzi akaanza kuwasiliana na yeye. After 16 years.
Ndio akaanza kumuongelesha.
Kaanza kumuongelesha. Saa ingine hata nikaona anamtumia kitu kwa simu. Kwa simu yangu tu hii.
Okay.
Sasa ninashindwa huyu mtoto. Kuna kitu anawaza kwa mawazo yake ama namna gani, kwa sababu ni mimi nimemlea kutoka miezi 3.
Okay.
Kwa kitu inaweza kuwa inamsumbua kwa sababu saa ingine ananyamaza tu.
Okay, sawa. Swali lako tumelisikia, tutalijibu baada ya hii commercial break. But asante sana Eunice kwa kutupigia simu, lakini ukae online ndio upate jibu lako kutoka kwa experts wetu leo. Welcome back to Your World Tuesday edition. Today we're talking about attachment styles, understanding why we love the way we do. Where did it come from? What does it look like? And having had all those different attachment styles, do you figure uko wapi? Have you seen self anywhere? If you have, please indulge us on NTV Kenya. Ask all NTV Kenya on all our social media platforms, and let us know if you have any question as well. We have a caller online. We have Gilbert from Buruburu. Hi, Gilbert.
Yeah. Hey, how are you, Mika?
I am fantastic. Yourself?
Yes, I'm very well.
Great. You have a question today?
Yes, I have a question, and before I ask, I just want to say I love your session, love your world.
Thank you.
I love all the panelists. They are doing a great job.
Asante sana.
So I have 2 questions, a quick one. Okay. I have 2 questions for Bishop. Yes, the first question is it possible that the way you love is more about your childhood than your current partner? Yes, I ask again.
Yes.
Is it possible that the way you love is more about your childhood than your current partner.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The next question for Bishop. If one has an anxious attachment style, maybe because of abandonment, how do they heal?
Good. We've gotten that. We've gotten that, Gilbert. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Stay tuned because we'll have your questions answered. Very, very pertinent questions. Asante sana.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we start with a question, Eunice first, and then we come to Gilbert's. And it's open session.
Let me respond to Eunice's question.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't know how to put it in Swahili.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes to say psychological concepts in Swahili.
Yeah.
But I've listened to her story about this boy who is behaving funny and has become withdrawn.
Yeah.
And she has been able to paint a picture of what happened to this child. And I would want to say that this child right now, I've heard that he's a teenager.
Yes.
And being a teenager, this is the point at which he's forming identity. And it becomes very difficult for any human being to be, because we form our identity depending on who it is that acts as our point of reference. And it appears like this child is emerging from a very empty space, as in the caregivers who are supposed to be there, and especially the origin of this child. I usually say, Mwikali, that a human seed is the only seed that is sown in secret. But the moment it comes, it emerges, it demands to know its origin.
That's true.
That's why we have seen people flying all the way from US and stuff like that to come and look for their identity, to identify themselves with where they have come from.
That's true.
There's something about that. And that is why I also tell single mothers.
Moms.
And this is sometimes something that many don't like hearing.
Okay.
The relationship between a child and a parent, or let me say the relationship between spouses, let me say relationship between a man and a husband and a wife, it is in the realm of dreams, feelings, emotions, expectations, aspirations, all that. And when they collapse, when all that collapses, the marriage collapses. When issues to do with finance and stuff like that collapse, the marriage goes away. But the relationship between a child and a parent and a mother and a father is in the realm of blood. Okay? Yes. And therefore, there is a natural push to want to know where did I come from. That's what we call identity.
Okay.
They want to understand what is my origin. What am I here for? Where am I going? All that, the parent acts as the reference point, you know, and they are able now to launch the children into a world from a place of abundance, that is emotional, psychological, mental, and all that. We are launching them into the world, and they are able to explore the world from a secure base. Now, when a child does not understand where they are coming from, that's why I usually tell single mothers, it is important.
Yeah.
In a child's appropriate language, and especially when they become of age and they begin to really disturb you, asking you, where did I come from?
Yeah.
And sometimes I have heard all manner of lies. Sijui, your father died.
In an accident.
In an accident.
Lori ya makaa.
You know, as if these children fell from a tree like a mango.
Yeah.
And we do not understand the kind of pain that these children go through as they try to identify. If the former president of US, Barack Obama, could actually come here to just have a feel and touch of his roots, you know, how much more would that child, do you think, is going to struggle if we cannot be able to help them? And now I'm saying this as I also try to help this grandma.
Yes.
To also speak to her son. Okay?
Yes.
That it is important, at least for a child to know what their origin is.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, many of these teenagers who ask, where did I come from? The moment you tell them your father is in this place or that place, but my relationship with him could not work because of some reasons known better to me. But that does not mean that marriages and relationships do not work. That was between me and him and not you. The moment you talk to your child in such a manner, you are able to settle all their worries and stuff like that. All they want is to know and probably even be able to see them. I have heard some very sad stories of somebody, a teenager who did not know where they came from, but apparently they look like they have a white skin. But the mother is an African, is a Kenyan, speaking Kikuyu. And this child is being teased and being, made fun of by other children. Who is this boy speaking Kikuyu and the skin is the skin of a Mzungu? And you just don't know how that child got troubled. Even to the point of, because at some point the mother disclosed, your father is somewhere, the boy started contemplating, looking for money to go and look for his father. I don't know where. This is a natural push, and it is important that we be able. Now, what I can say to this grandma, the best she can do is to really affirm this child. Affirm the child. And because now he's a teenager and he is able now to conceptualize some things, it is important for him to understand that, you belong to my son, and your father probably is not able to be here because of one or the other reason, okay? But some other times even having such a person come and validate, even if he is not going to do something. Fathers,
she has said something very...
Can we pick a call? We have a call all the way from Kakamega. Lorraine, hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. My name is Rolin.
Yes, Rolin.
And I have a problem with my marriage. I've been married for 6 years.
6 years, okay.
And I'm married to a man who is, I don't know what to call him, but every time we have an argument, he is never willing to have a conversation. Never. And even if you have evidence, he will keep quiet and he will not talk about it.
Okay.
So I'm one person who is living with so many stress of 6 years. Nobody to talk to, nobody to be close even with, because the parents are not even there. Like recently, we had a disagreement about, I got some relationships. He has some girls he's talking to. And when I asked, he got mad at me. He started saying he will quit, he will commit murder, and I don't know what and what. And he has been telling me several times that one day he will kill himself.
Okay.
So I even don't know where to start from. I have stress, not gonna watoto wawili na yeye. So please just help me, kwa sababu this person hatakangi communication kabisa. Every time he is wrong, hataki kuulizwa, hataki kuambiwa anything.
Okay, Rolin. I think my panelists wamesikia swali, may understand. So we have Beatrice before we get the answers to your questions. Hello, Beatrice.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Yes, Beatrice, talk to us.
I've been listening to the program.
Yes.
And I just thought of my daughter. I have a daughter.
Okay.
She's now 40. And
Sorry?
when I was listening,
your daughter is?
Yeah, 40. And she's not married. She has no child. She has a good job. But when I listened to what Mama, I've forgotten her name, one of the in the program, it just reflected my mind that she was talking about my daughter. The things that she talked about is exactly about, she has that fear. She has been in a relationship twice and it didn't work. And now she's all alone, she's lonely, the siblings are married, they have families, and here she keeps herself, she doesn't go atoki, ana company, and whenever I ask her, mbona unakaa peke yako? Mommy, I'm just okay. I just feel I'm comfortable in my comfort. I'm in my comfort zone, and she doesn't have so many friends. She doesn't socialize going out. She doesn't go to church even. Whenever I ask her, why don't you go to church? Because if you want to have a relationship, you can go to church, socialize with all single other ladies, and maybe there you can have somebody. Now, mommy, my ears. Will I really ever get a husband? Because I'm now 40, and will I ever have a child? I'm just thinking of adopting. And it disturbs me so much because this girl, when she was a little girl, ni mtu ule anapenda, yani she has a very good heart. Even where she's working, she's a teacher. And after high school, we wanted to enroll her in a medical MTC to do a pharmacy. She refused and said, no, I want to work with children. Where she's working, she's a kindergarten teacher. She said she wants to work with young kids. And she went up to university level to take a degree in early childhood.
Okay.
And now she's teaching in one of the international schools. She also did the Montessori syllabus. And she's doing very well with kids. She loves kids, even when she goes to visit the brothers or the sister. And she's that person that watoto wanampenda sana.
Yeah.
She's longing to have her own family, but she has that fear in her that hakuna mtu anampenda. Vile nilisikia hakuna mtu, ati mami hata hakuna mtu ananipenda. Ati I don't even know where people get husbands. And then I told her, can you have a child? I mean, no, I don't want to be a homebreaker. I can't have a child with anybody's husband, and I don't want to have a child without her. I don't want to raise a child without a father.
Okay.
I don't want my child to ask me where is my daddy.
Okay.
Now I don't know where I went wrong, because this girl, she's that person who is, yani akikuja kwako hata aone uko na shida. Yani she's so downhearted. Even recently the friend lost a child. Mtoto wake alichoka ya 7 months. Amelia yake yote. And mommy, you know my friend Joy lost her child. Nini sasa mama sorry, why are you crying? I'm so sorry for my friend because she lost her child. And yule mtu anapenda. Yes, unaona kabisa deep inside her she wants to have a relationship, wants to have a family.
Okay.
But how do I help her?
Okay.
Because she's that person mwenyewe.
Yeah.
Ajiamini that kuna mtu anampenda. Na mtu kama huyo utafanya yeye nini? Haziwezi kumwambia sasa ndio huyo nimekupendelea, nimekuletea bwana. It doesn't work like that nowadays. How am I going to help her?
Sawa, Beatrice. We have our panelists help you with that. Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Okay. Okay.
Those are heavy questions.
It's a very, very good questions. And we had a question earlier about the anxious attachment, if they're able to heal. And I think he asked 2 questions. I think it was Gilbert from Buruburu. Yeah.
I think the first question he asked was, is it you? Is it your attachment style, or is it your partner?
Yes.
That was the first question that he asked.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I would say both.
Okay.
You know, it takes 2 to build a relationship. It's always good, you as a person, to take a look at yourself and what you're contributing into this relationship even before you look at another person. Not to say that it's just your attachment style that could be the issue. Even the other person, they have their own attachment style, they have their own personality and their own issues. But it's always good to start with you. What is it that I am doing in this relationship that could be contributing to the conflict, that could be contributing to the breakup, that could be communicating to the communication breakdown? So I would say it takes both.
Okay.
It takes both. It takes both your attachment style, meaning you, and also the other person. So as you're looking at yourself, also look at how the dynamics of the relationships are between the 2 of you. What is it that makes us rub heads? You know, what is it that makes us have conflicts a lot? And then maybe address that. I would say before you say it's the other person or it's your attachment skills, if it's a serious relationship, always reach out and have a counseling session. It always helps, because it's in that counseling session that you're actually going to realize this is where the issue is. It was never even about the two of us. Maybe it's just how we communicate. Maybe when I communicate in a particular way, my partner thinks I'm abrasive. Or when my partner, like in the case we've had, decides to stonewall and be quiet.
Yes.
For me, it's a problem because I believe in discussing issues.
Yeah.
I believe in making noise now, shouting now, and the issue is over. But my partner believes in sweeping things under the carpet, and that's how they deal with issues. Now, such people would have to go for counseling. First of all, to learn how they deal with issues, to learn themselves, and then learn new skills, how to go forward.
Okay.
About the anxious, yes, you can heal. I was an anxious, and I'm so proud to say I was.
Okay.
And, you know, like Moffat was saying, it mostly stems out from growing up. It may be nothing even major your parents did. I had amazing parents, an amazing mother. But I think it's just, first of all, you have to consider the number of child that you are. That also contributes to attachment styles, right? For me, I was the last born in a family of 4. My siblings were a bit older. They were already very good friends, used to spend time together. Then comes this young child who wants to tell on them all the time. So you're being...
You became the family snitch.
You're being put on the side. So your dolls and your things become your family. So that's all you're communicating with. And then my mom used to travel up country a lot. So I always used to be anxious. When is she coming back? You know? And when she comes back, will I get the attention? Because she adopted another child out of need behind me when I was very small. So you're there wondering, am I going to get this attention? Am I not? You know, and I'm giving this example so people can see that these things are real.
Yeah.
So I grew up not knowing that I have an anxious style of attachment. For me, I just knew I am clinging. I want to be assured that I'm loved all the time. I want to be next to my mom or next to someone. Like, it was so bad that I even could not sleep in my bed alone. I wanted to sleep next to maybe my siblings, to feel that contact, to feel that, you know, that love, to know that, you know, I'm loved. And it continues even as you know, you go to school, you don't want to be left in school, you don't know how to make friends. I used to ask myself, what's wrong with me? Am I a misfit? You know, you find yourself excessively shy, you don't know why, you're so timid. So all this is evidence of anxious style, you know. And when you get into a relationship, you realize you're that person who drives the other person crazy. You want to be called every day. Then when you're not called, it's like the earth is falling. The sky is falling on you. Like, why would he not call me today? Why? I mean, yesterday, yes, he called, but today he didn't. You know, so you're always wondering, why? I mean, do you love me enough? If you loved me enough, you would have called me. And the person might be telling, but I called you yesterday and we finished all our stories. I'm like, no, but we had new stories today. I could have told you I cooked this and that and that. You know, so for you, it's like,
I got things to say.
So it's like your partner, whatever he does is never enough.
Okay.
Yet they are doing it, but it's never enough. For you, it's like a barrel, an empty barrel. It has to be filled every day. And
so you are the kind of a girl who used to cry in high school if you are not visited.
I couldn't even stay in boarding.
Let
me just say there, like, you know. So I went from one boarding and I'm like, hey, faking my sicknesses. My parents, anyway, they're gone. You fake sicknesses to go home, and until you've changed schools. You know what I mean? Because you can't stand being away.
Yep.
So that's how it, even in relationships, that's how it exhibits. You want your partner there. You want to go on constant dates. You know, you have to heal yourself. You know, and how do you heal yourself? You have to, one, I recommend counseling. Secondly, even being aware, by just being aware that you're anxious, like he said, that in itself is the beginning of healing. That awareness and accepting to yourself that I have my anxious, my style is anxious, and I know I have a problem and I want to change. So once you go for counseling, a good counselor, what they'll do is heal what we call the inner child.
Okay.
Because it's in your childhood that began. It didn't start in your adulthood. It began in your child. So it's an inner child that has to be healed. The assurance of you being loved has to start from that inner child. And then we give them work we call CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, where you have to change your thinking. Even the Bible says, renew your mind.
Yeah.
That's CBT is renewing your mind. All those crazy thoughts that you've told yourself, that I'm not loved enough, that I'm not valuable enough, that I'm not whole enough. You get to change, to realign your mind, to accept yourself, to speak to that inner child every day, like the things you'd have wanted to hear as a child. You're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're great. Those are the things you get to tell yourself. It is not kinimacho, it's not magic, it's work.
Okay.
You know, it's work you have to do. We do things called mirror work. There are things that we help clients with to heal that. So I had to do that with myself. You know, and I'm here to say that I'm not an anxious, I don't have anxious attachment style anymore.
Gilbert, your answer is yes.
Yes.
There is a way. There is a way. We had another question, Bishop, about stonewalling, where you're trying to talk to this person and they're not talking back to you. You want to solve things, but they will never respond to you. So you go around in circles thinking, what do I do with this person?
I think maybe for the man, because that's what Beatrice, you're talking about Beatrice? Yeah. Is it Beatrice? Who
Beatrice
brought it up?
Rolling,
yes. There's something that the man could have gone through in terms of the people who are around him. And I want to speak about the male figure. Maybe the male figure or the father figure in his life never really solved issues, because sometimes children have a way of picking what is going on, because you ask your father, will you come for visiting, or why didn't you come for the visiting, and he'll say, we'll talk about that. So there's no conclusive resolving of that issue. Maybe he wanted answers and the parents were very busy, and therefore he never got answers, and therefore he grows in an environment where he also doesn't give answers to anybody. He doesn't feel accountable. There's no accountability. He's asked, why are you having, why are you talking, where were you? And he feels, you know, I don't have to really say it. Or maybe he's answering in his mind, because there are situations where you find an individual makes answers in their mind. They're talking to you, but in their mind, maybe asking you, why are you asking me all these questions? You don't know a man should come whatever time they want. So the answers are there, but he doesn't talk. So he blocks you. And I can say that that becomes a very difficult environment, especially in marriage, because you will never move forward. You'll never conclude. And if you have a lady like now, her, who wants to hear what the man is saying, where were you? Why are you talking to this person? Just the talk, the conversation. And this man cannot hold a conversation. That also is informed by a person who is not also confident. Maybe the man is not confident enough to give answers. He doesn't know how she will take it. Because she has just mentioned and said, the man says he will kill himself, he will do what. So he's coming from a place of insecurity, that it doesn't matter what I say, I am facing rejection. You know, I'm being rejected by this person, or this person may not understand. So there are many, many, many aspects to it that could cause somebody to build the defense mechanism wall, where the DM is there, the defense mechanism wall, you want to shut everything, or even bury the proverbial ostrich. You bury your head in the sand and hope things will pass. But I can say from a marriage perspective or a relationship perspective, that relationship is doomed. Because if you don't give answers, from the way she's talking, she's frustrated.
Very.
She's in a point where she wonders, what will I do with this person? And eventually that could break down, you know, the relationship to a place where it cannot be repaired. So I pray, how I pray, that such a man will talk. And I want to say to her, give him time, advise him, you see a therapist, a marriage counselor, so that at least he can open up. Because he could have gone also through traumas that are causing him not to talk. Maybe he was talking as a child or as he grew up, and somebody would say, shut up, what are you saying? What are you saying right now? You know, even in class, you know, in classrooms, we were when I was doing my degree in education, there's something we're taught, you know, right from when a child is formed in the mother's womb to growing and what have you. There are things you are taught about people. And that's what has been ignored a lot. Because not everybody is the same in their IQ. There are those who suffer Down syndrome. There are those who are slow. You know, even in answering, they don't know what to say that time. And there's no space because maybe you are shouting at them. So I would ask her to be patient and more than anything, seek help from a therapist, from a marriage counselor, or even from people that if they got married and they have best man and the best couple, or the best man and the best maid, they talk to them and see how they can be helped. Because I don't think there is a big problem, but it has to be dug from where this is coming from. He can't just be ignoring her. And at the same time, he's so fearful that if she left, he'd rather kill himself.
So he's communicating and not communicating.
He's communicating and other answers are being given probably in the mind, because there are people who talk from their mind. They think they are giving you an answer by behaving the way they are behaving, but they are not saying anything.
That's true. So Rolene, there's help, there's patience, and also just if you can seek help, where you can see a counselor, talk about it. We're going to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be answering Beatrice's question. And I'd also like to probably, this is a kind of conversation probably we need like a full day, because we've not even talked about the attachment mismatches. And you're wondering why me and this person is not working. It's not working. What are those attachment styles that don't really go hand in hand? But as we come back, I'll also be looking at your feedback to the question of the day, which is, do you think attachment styles are fixed, or can they change over time with the right experiences? Or people, do you think attachment styles are fixed, or can they change over time with the right experiences or people? It's NTV Kenya on all our social media platforms. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. Welcome back to Your World Tuesday edition. We're talking about attachment style today. We are breaking it all down and understanding why you love the way that you do. And we've gone through the different attachment styles. We've been answering your questions as well. And we have Godfrey on the line from Nairobi. Hello, Godfrey.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning too.
Godfrey, ongeza sauti ndio tukusikie vizuri. Uko na swali?
Nina swali. Mimi hata nimepata mada ikiwa katikati kidogo, but nikaona on the screen.
Okay.
So my question is, sasa kuna if you talk about marriage, sasa na yangu sasa iko on the situation like sasa hiyo mnaongelea. Niko na mtu sasa, mimi nimeishi na over 12 years.
Umeishi na mtu 12 years?
Na tumeoana na tumeishi pamoja. Na tuna watoto watatu.
Okay.
But all of a sudden nikaona kuna mabadiliko kidogo. Mimi huwa nafanya kazi nje tu. Sasa ni mostly huwa nikikaa naenda nje wiki mbili, narudi after 1 month narudi. Sasa ikafika mahali huyo akatoka. Sasa ilifika mahali wakati na communicate wala mawe huwa na communicate na watoto.
Okay.
Nikasikia sasa yeye hataki, huwa ana complain, she usually complained about hiyo kuongea na watoto. Hataki, but nikicommunicate na communicate through simu yake.
Okay.
Akacomplain, unajua ilianza pole, alikuwa na biashara anafanya, sasa akafanya hivyo. Sasa sijui ni nini alikuja kapata hapo. Imagine aliwacha watoto. Mkubwa nimempeleka boarding, yeye alikuwa boarding anasoma kwa grade 7 by now.
Okay.
Hao wengine ni wadogo, mmoja miaka 7, mwingine miaka 4.
Okay.
Aliwawacha kwa nyumba, imagine, na akatisapia hivyo until leo nikiongea hivi saa hii almost 8 months.
Wow. Okay.
Akawacha watoto kwa nyumba, lakini sasa ilikuwa niseme ni bahati huyo mkubwa sasa miaka 7 anajua namba yangu. Alitoka akaenda stage kulipigia simu, ndio akaniambia mami alitoka na hajarudi. But nikifuatilia si ati ni mtu alienda ama akakufa ako. Ni ile sasa niseme mimi ni kubonda raha kidogo. akaniwachia watoto. Sasa watoto wanafika mahali kuniuliza maswali, hata mimi sasa nimeona hiyo nikiangalia hiyo mada yenu sasa ndio nikajiuliza maswali kama hayo.
Okay.
Sasa huyu mkubwa wao anasema wakati akikuja ruhusa sasa anakutana na wenzake wadogo mpaka akasema nimtoe boarding nimulete hapa nimweke day school.
Ndio achunge hao wengine.
Ndio achunga hao wengine na 12 years.
Okay, Godfrey.
Yeah.
Sawa. Tutakupatia feedback kutoka kwa our panelists.
Asante.
Haya, sawa. Tuko na simu nyingine ya Gor kutoka Bondo. Gor, good morning.
Yes, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama kabisa, labda yako.
Nzuri, mimi naitwa Gor from Bondo.
Yes.
Nilikuwa nataka kutoka kwenda jua kali, nikaona hii mada ni ya maana sana, nichangie.
Ukakaa?
Ikabidi nitulie kwanza nione hii mada mpaka ishe.
Yes.
Sababu ni mada ambayo inaweza saidia vijana wengi ama wale watu ambao wanapitia kwa shida kama sisi.
Okay.
Mimi kwangu kwa hii mada ningechangia tu kuhusu sisi. Unakuta kati ya mama na baba mtoto akitokea, mtoto huwa hakuji kwa makosa.
Kweli.
Sisi ndio huwa tunachangia ndio mtoto akuje. Lakini ikifika wakati kuna mgogoro kati ya mama na baba ama kati ya wazazi, mimi kwangu huwa naona haifai kuingize mtoto katikati.
Kweli.
Na inatakana mtoto akizaliwa tumue mwazi kwa mtoto. Ili hata kama kumekuwa na shida kati ya mama na mama ameenda na mtoto, mama kuwa wazi kwa mtoto kumwambia wewe kwenyu ni mahali fulani, baba yako ni mtu fulani. Sababu mimi naongea huo kutokea kwa experience ambayo ninayo kwa maisha kama hiyo. Niko na watoto 3 ambao mama yao ni tofauti lakini naishi nao.
Okay.
Lakini kuna mmoja ambaye mama yake tulimjuana 14 years back.
Okay.
Lakini nilikuja nikakuta mtoto akiwa shuleni, akiwa form 2, nikamtoa form 2 hadi form 4, sasa ya university. Lakini nilimkuta mtoto akitapitia kwa maisha magumu sababu mama amekuwa akioleka na amwambie kweli ni wapi.
Okay.
Nilikuja kuokolea mtoto kwa shule kama ameshajipanga kujinyonga.
Jamani.
Sababu mama alikataa kumwambia ukweli. Sasa discussion ya mtoto amekuwa akitafuta baba yake na mama amwambie ukweli. Sababu mama anajaribu kutengeneza upande ya kwake lakini anaumiza mtoto.
Okay.
Sasa mimi nataka niwaambie vijana wenzangu ama wazee wenzangu na wasichana na wamama ambao tunao na watoto. Tuwe wazi kwa mtoto. Usidanganye mtoto babako alifariki na baba bado wako hai.
Kweli.
Sababu inafika, unajua kama sisi Wajaluo tuko na sheria, mtoto ukizaa mtoto msichana wakati anataka kuletewa mahari lazima mrudishe kwao. Na sasa hiyo unakuta mdaka ya mwisho inaleta shida, inafanya wazazi sisi tunakuwa watu wabaya na kumbe sio wabaya. Makosa inakuanga yetu sisi wazazi. Sasa mimi naomba tu sisi wazazi tuwe wazi kwa watoto wetu. Hata ukioleka mahali kwa mtoto wengine na umeona maisha inakuwa ngumu kwa mtoto, mueleze ukweli.
Asante Gor.
Asante sana.
Tumekubaliana kwa hayo. And asante. I think Mofa tulikuwa mention kuhusu this particular, I think he caught you at that point. Akaamua haendi kazini. But before we even get to Godfrey and Gor, Beatrice had called about the daughter, and I'm seeing parents, grandparents calling, wondering what did I do? Where did I go wrong with my daughter who's 40? And what she's deduced is she's fearful of probably rejection or something, but I don't know if that is the true diagnosis of that situation. And I can see Miriam just going like, no.
I don't think she's fearful.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I can talk from experience. I don't know what happened to the era of millennials, but I think we're the group that grew up with parents who, and I'm not saying that's how Beatrice was, but we grew up with parents who put in us the fear of God. If they caught you with a boy, you're almost...
Oh, yeah.
Way, you know? It was worse than being beaten by a dog. Like, if your mom caught you with a boy, you know you're going to be killed.
Yeah.
And so people, well, she's right. There's some fear. So people grew up with that fear of, I can't date, I can't talk to a boy. You continue like that. And then the spiritual element comes in. Because from what I deduced from what she was saying, I think the daughter is a very spiritual lady. She doesn't want to break her home. She doesn't want to have a child out of wedlock. When you hear a woman saying, I will adopt a child, that's because she doesn't want to do it the natural way, meaning she has her own kind of spirituality. You know, she has her own kind of spirituality. She doesn't want to sleep around to get a child, and therefore it's easier for her to adopt. So there's that element of her spirituality. There's also the element of her personality that came in. To me, according to what Beatrice was saying, it feels like Beatrice is an introvert.
Okay.
She prefers being in her own space.
Beatrice's daughter.
I mean the daughter.
Yes.
She prefers being in her own space. She's okay not socializing. And as you're growing older and you're an introvert, you enjoy your space more. You enjoy your space more. You actually feel, I don't want to go out of my comfort zone. I'm not a party person anymore. Church, well, I have my own spirituality, so I'm not going to church just for a social event. And now that she's 40, she's asking herself very, very pertinent questions. Will I get someone to marry me at this age? And if I do, will it be a single man? Can I really get a single man to marry me at 40?
Yeah.
And if I do get one, why has he been single this whole time also? There's those questions to ask. Secondly, the other two options I have are divorcees and widowers. It's a bit scary to get married to a divorcee because you don't understand, you don't know what made him break up from his wife. Person, You're only hearing his side of the story, but you only get to know who he is when you get into that marriage or in that relationship. So you become very fearful of dating divorcees. Widowers, on the other hand, are you going to sit waiting for someone's wife to die to get married? So the options dwindle. The older you get, the more the options dwindle. And you find that as a woman especially, I don't know about men, for men it's easier because they can talk even to younger women and they'll marry them. But for a woman, your options really reduce and you reach to a point where you're actually losing hope. You're like, you know what, it's okay. You start self-talk, it's okay. I can just continue being alone. I can adopt a child just for me to take care of and for my old age, but I don't think at this age I can find someone. So what may look like her not wanting to get married is her actually critically analyzing her options and seeing her options are not as broad as they were. So for the mom to think that there's something wrong she's done, I don't think there's anything wrong the mom has done.
Good.
She's not done anything wrong. Her daughter is just an individual. She's just a different person who life did not work out for, well, not work out, did not go the way the mom thought it would go. But that doesn't mean there's anything wrong.
There's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with
because people can take a different path.
Exactly.
And I think because of the kind of tradition and setup and mindset that we have, we imagine that somebody must end up being married, you know, having children, but you can make a choice to be child-free. Or maybe adopt a child and life continues. Because if she mentioned and said that she's happy with her own space, I think the mother should let her be. And not, you know, follow the norm that it has to be this way, it has to be that way. And I think in this time and age, we have to allow people some freedom unless there's a trauma that she knows of, or maybe she was really heartbroken to a point where she needs help. But for me, I also felt there was nothing wrong because she said she's happy in her space. And she's very kind to children at school.
Children love her.
And she reaches out. She's very empathetic when somebody loses, you know, their loved ones. So that girl is in her space. And I think the mother should just affirm her, or she should, the other, I wish she's the one who was listening to us.
Yeah.
The daughter. She should just tell the mother, I'm okay, mama. Yeah, this is what I've chosen.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong.
Yeah,
Great.
maybe even, sorry, just to finish off, maybe even the mom is the one who needs to come to the acceptance that my daughter might remain single. Yeah, because the point that Bishop has made, she said she's happy in her own space. Do you know that's the basic, the basic foundation of you entering a relationship? Yes. You should not enter a relationship if you're not happy in your own space, if you're not happy in your singlehood, if you don't know how to live singly.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you don't know how to take your space as a single person and be okay with it.
Great.
So her saying I'm okay in my space, that is such a valuable statement.
Very.
The person who needs to come to the acceptance that my daughter may not be like my other children is the mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perhaps I might also want to mention that there's also another aspect that we are not mentioning, that sometimes even the parents' marriages are models. They model the kind of a marriage a child would want to have.
That's right.
And I'm not trying to say that you know, Beatrice has done anything wrong, like my colleagues have said. But sometimes she might also want to invite her daughter, or rather to allow the daughter invite her into her world so that she can understand as the mother why the daughter has chosen that kind of life if she says she's comfortable being where she is. But what I wanted to say is that we also do have a good number of people who detest marriage because of what they saw in their parents' marriages.
Absolutely. Oh, you became a parent. You became a parent because when you were firstborn, you've taken care of many children behind you, so you're already a mother in your own right. And we had two other questions from the gentleman. We had Godfrey, who was abandoned with the kids, and we also had but more common.
Let me talk about the one for Godfrey. Then he might add. There's something I deduced from the whole story, that he would call home and get the children and talk to the children. And the mother, the wife would not want that. What I feel is that there's something this woman was hiding all along. That she didn't want the children to disclose to their father. Maybe she was dating somebody, she was coming late, or even maybe she was bringing somebody into the house. And this informs the fact that she went and left the children, and 8 months down the line, she has not desired to come back. It means that this lady was having another relationship. And that's why, because what he said, he started by saying, I call, and the mother does not want me to talk to the children. So that was a question, a big question mark. It was a red flag, because why wouldn't a mother want the father or the husband to talk to the children? Because sometimes even the children will pick the call, the phone, and say, Daddy is calling. And they go straight away to answer. If there's nothing that was being hidden, from what he said, this lady was not faithful. And that's why she's disappeared. She's living with somebody else. And I think they should, what I think at this point, they should go to the parents and maybe talk to them and say she left, she deserted, because that is a legal ground to leave somebody. Because if the person deserted and she's not willing to come, 8 months is too much of a time to be away. Maybe she's living with somebody else. I don't know whether he said that, but that shows unfaithfulness in the marriage, and that's why from the start there was something that was being hidden. So I don't think anything is wrong about this whole thing in terms of him saying, you know, nataka nisaidiwe, nataka aone vile things to be the way they are, nataka naone mambo vile iko. Huyu mama hakuwa mwaminifu tangu mwanzo.
Thank you, Mwikali. I have a different view from what Bishop is saying, because this woman, what I got from what Godfrey said, he would call home and talk to children. Call home and talk to children. Call home and talk to children. And my question is, I am curious for you, Godfrey, where was this woman as far as your life is concerned? Because I have handled many cases whereby somebody feels not accepted, that this man, the only interest he has is the children.
But whose phone was he using?
He was using the wife's phone.
The wife's phone, to talk to the children. Meaning when it is possible, I know what he's saying, but it is possible that when he called, the children picked the phone to talk to their father. Yeah, but let him say, because he has a bit different.
Let me finish. We do have men who have that tendency, that every time they call home, the only person they want to talk to is children. Whether they are using the children's phone or the mother's phone.
So the wife feels neglected.
Yes, you can call home and tell your wife, can I talk to children? And you don't take time to know how has it been for this woman for the 2 weeks, 1 month you've been away. You don't take time to find out what this woman is. And therefore, there is a possibility. And I'm not saying that what the bishop is saying cannot be a possibility. But there is a possibility that at some point this woman felt neglected emotionally to the point that they want to run away from what they consider as their source of stress. That is also another area a trained professional will not be able to conclude or to diagnose until when you hear what is it that this woman has been feeling as far as her marriage is concerned. Because I know we even do have some communities who so much believe that once you have children, the man is the one who is, you are supposed to take care of your children. And therefore, in the course of that, the woman feels neglected and feels like they do not want to come back. In fact, if I had a moment of talking to such a couple, I would want to find out from that woman, what is it, after getting married for this long, what is it that kept you together? And when did the rain start beating you? So that we can start from that point of view, and then we'll be able to make a very healthy conclusion that this woman might be having this problem, or Godfrey might also be having this problem. And I'm so grateful to Godfrey. He joins the number of men who are calling today, just sharing and talking what is in their hearts.
Absolutely. Our time is absolutely gone. Like gone. I don't even think, Philip, do you have time for parting shots? How could I tell you parting shots? But parting, 10 seconds. Okay. Are we able to do 10 seconds?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say, as I'm finishing up, as I talk about Godfrey, is that men, let's not forget that in the woman you married, there's still the girl who wants to be engaged.
Good.
And what happens is that we forget to continue to build emotional intimacy in marriages.
All right.
Let's not forget that.
Okay. 10 seconds more.
Asante sana. I think what I can say is that every personality, there's no personality that is superior to another.
That's good.
But we need to invite each other into each other's world so that you can see the world the way the other one sees it.
Asante sana.
I feel that in our different attachments, it is good to always open up so that you improve yourself to be a better person so that you can be able to accommodate the other people.
Absolutely. Asanteni sana. It's confirmed. There will be a part 2 of this conversation. There's so much that we've not covered. So next week, tupatane hapa. Same time, same place. But we have your feedback from WhatsApp as well. As we say, kwaheri. Thank you for joining us today and for participating, calling in. And that's our feedback. I am trying to read, Philip, and my eyes are doing the thing. Where am I reading, Philip? Oh, I am listening to you people from Kisii. Please, how can I love this where a man disappears? He don't want me to know where he is, but sometime on Facebook he reacts to my real husband. What? Good morning, Mikali. I'm here listening to the show and I've never felt so seen before. Now I understand why life is so difficult on my side, not only when it comes to relationship, but also every otherwise. Okay, I have an avoidant attachment style. Please, how can I get over it? And that is quite something. And second show is needed for sure. We will be having this conversation continue next week. You can send in your questions, mapema, so that we answer them. But thank you so much, Asanteni sana, Miriam, Moffat, and Bishop, and to you as well. See you tomorrow. Adios.